Good morning. Or, well, I tried doing this in the morning. Good afternoon. Let me go live on TikTok. This will be a member-only chat today. But let's see. Bitcoin at 69,000. Just hanging around. When's alt season? Have we bottomed? Sorry, just warming myself up. Okay. Oh, SLNH. So, I mean, my mindset with any of those stocks. Hello, Isan. Yeah, when it's alt, I literally just hyped myself up for the question about when is alt season. How about 2027? And I'm not a moon boy yet, so SLNH. So my perspective with all these minor plays or AI/minor plays is like I'm just gonna be holding it, man. I'm holding long for the long haul. If it does go down, I highly doubt it's gonna put in new lows. So there's not really anything that I'm seeing that sticks out on the weekly. On the daily, nothing really. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So we're just thinking holding for now. I mean, SLNH, yes. I mean, guys, those miners, I'm holding them for years. I know with our crypto mindset, we tend to think like this is gonna make insane gains tomorrow, but I've been thinking about all of these particular stocks, and my general thought is, okay, yeah, you know what? They're going to go down with Bitcoin, but I also think Bitcoin's close to a bottom. And so, yeah, it sucks. Riot Blockchain. It doesn't. It's not fun when Bitcoin goes down big time, but then Riot Blockchain goes down with it because it's correlated with Bitcoin. But like, what happens after Bitcoin has bottomed out is I think Riot Blockchain is gonna go really hard. So SLNH is suffering in the same way, but we're pretty close to bottom in my opinion for Bitcoin. So, did you buy alts last dip? I would have if I was making enough money to justify it. Like I'm having to draw from my investments and my savings right now. And so that's not going to be the case for a long time, but like at this point in my life, it's just that's how it is being self-employed. If I had reserved capital to put in, I mean, I did sell a lot, but then I had to put a lot of that to my kids' tuition and stuff like that. So, it stinks. Are we in bear market? We've been in a bear market. We're so deep into a bear market that it's almost time for bull market. Hello, Lavi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon for both of us. I mean, well, I guess you could say it's evening for you. So, watch my video on altcoins. On the total altcoin market cap, look at what happens whenever we get to the 200-week moving average. It's been interesting lately, and even last bear market. Thoughts on Bad Bunny? I didn't watch the halftime show. I watched the Turning Point USA halftime show, and I was bored. It was boring. But I don't listen to the kind of music that people who turn in the Turning Point USA halftime show would listen to. Now, I heard the Bad Bunny halftime show was excellent, and well, D Lane says both were boring. I don't know. I mean, the clips that I saw looked like a good time, looked like a good vibe and everything, and I'm sure there's things that would have annoyed me, but whatever. All right. So you don't think we're going back to a 4-year cycle? I have been a basher of the 4-year cycle for a while, but I also like Bitcoin. Bitcoin might be. It still feels. It looks like it's following the 4-year cycle, but that doesn't mean, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high in March of 2024 before the halving. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin hit a new all-time high well before the next halving. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it happened in 2026 even. I think it's going to happen in 2027. So what is the 4-year cycle? Could it's the 4-year cycle so far is really only working for peaks. The peak for Bitcoin was on October 6th, but it will very likely break that all-time high before the next halving, just like it did last time. VeChain or ICP? I guess I'll say VeChain. They're both. I mean, ICP's inflation is pretty much done with, I think. And VeChain doesn't have any inflation. But ICP. I think they're both. They both have potential to go lower. Glad you're saying we're deep into a bear market. All you see is on X is people saying the bear is starting. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. The charts disagree with anyone saying the bear is starting. That was one of the best videos I watched lately. Thank you, Lavi. Hello, Max. Both. Oh yeah. All right. I only watch proper football. Up the Chelsea. Up the Man City. How about that? What do you think about Polygon? Your personal opinion? Polygon's just been miserable. I don't even know what to say. It just keeps on going lower. What do you want me to give an opinion on? Polygon, there were a lot of hopes for Polygon going into 2024, but I think eventually it's probably worth taking a stab at it. Anything that existed in 2021, I think it's okay to take a stab at it. The ones that were created ahead of the 2024, 2025 market, I wouldn't touch those at all. But Polygon, sure. So potentially alt season 2027. I've been saying that's my opinion for a while, yeah. Thanks for the follow, Maru Brozu, and thank God always. Sui and Cardano opinions. I wouldn't touch Sui right now. 93 cents. I do like Sui, even though it is one of those newer utility cryptos. It's just their tokenomics. The supply dynamics are not favorable right now. I think it's going to continue to go lower. And then Cardano has much better tokenomics. So I wouldn't be too afraid of buying right now, although I do have an entry on Cardano that I'm interested in. It's getting there quickly, actually. I think it's going below its previous bear market bottom. So anything below its previous bear market bottom, I'm interested. It actually did. It wicked below that last week. I'm hoping for 20 cents, maybe lower than that for Cardano. AVAX is definitely going to 5 cents for 5 cents, $5. I'm assuming you mean $5. Yeah, here it is. I mean, that's another one. It just recently went below its bear market bottom. Not in market cap because Avalanche is pretty inflationary. But yeah, no floor in sight now. If it's not going to hold its previous bear market bottom, then give me some $5 Avalanche. What do you think about War? Are you talking about the crypto? I've seen Shmoo and this guy Luis shilling it a lot. And I mean, man, I've been impressed with those guys lately. They've been picking winners, or they're picking winners or they're funding winners. They're probably like behind the scenes pulling some strings. But the fact that they were able to get that to, I think, $40 million market cap in this environment, that's really impressive. So I'd be paying attention a lot to those guys, Shmoo in particular. Shmoo and this other guy, Luis. I don't know his username. I don't think he's even on TikTok anymore. But Shmoo, SHMOO. I mean, I heard about that when it was at 6 million, and I bought a little bit and then sold at like 10 million. But I'm impressed, man. Polygon, ADA, XLM, Arbitrum, Sui, meh. I mean, that's how I feel. Yes, right now. And I have differing opinions on those. Arbitrum, same deal as Sui. I think Arbitrum could be even worse. Arbitrum is at 11 cents. You know, this thing has never been anywhere near this low. Again, tokenomics, you know. This got up to $2.40. So how far is that down? You know, that's 95, more than 95%. I'm not trying to, you know, I'll wait. I'll buy some Arbitrum at some point. Not right now. Stock market going to roll over soon. I hear people say that. The stock market, you look at the stock market chart and you could think, yeah, like this is losing momentum. You're seeing lots of bearish divergences. But the stock market's just weird. It's different. It can look pretty bearish for a while and then just go higher. You know, I'm not opposed to the idea that the stock market would roll over. Looking at the NASDAQ right now, but I've always been more surprised. If the S&P 500 and NASDAQ charts, if those were crypto charts, I'd be pretty nervous right now. But they kind of do their own thing. Watch my latest video on that recession. Big recession coming across the board. This is just the start. Yeah, I used to be like you. Should I start now investing to Solana V? Are you just talking about Solana? Solana's okay, $84. I mean, you know, it got down to what? It got down right to the 236, $66, $67, something like that. I think it's a little bit more vulnerable because there's very little support historically for where it's at. So this thing, if it's going to continue to drop, it's going to drop hard. I'd be a little bit more careful with Solana. Where do you think Bitcoin falls to? Every bear market, it's touched the 200-week moving average. We almost hit that last week. It makes sense to me that we're at least going to go there. That's 58.5 or so right now. But it can go lower than that. It can wick lower than that. So, thoughts on LCX? I'm assuming it's not as bad as a lot of other charts. It's really interesting. And I'm looking at the daily. There's a bullish divergence on the daily. So I mean, if I were to take this chart in isolation, this is actually a decent one. Looks pretty decent, but we'll see. Let's see. Yes, now is the right time to invest in cryptos. Thoughts on Ondo? Ondo can go a lot lower. Ondo can go a lot lower. It was created in 2024. There really is no floor in sight for Ondo. Maybe, you know, a few days after it launched, it got down to a little under 20 cents. Maybe that would be the floor, but I think it's going to go lower than that. Hey, Maru Brozu, you're making this more difficult. Just I'm trying to engage with everybody in the chat, and every other comment is you. It's like, you know, welcome, but I'm not going to respond to all of your comments if that's the case. And I mean no offense by that. Please don't be offended by that. Injective, again, another one with just no floor. I mean, it is, well, I shouldn't say no floor. It is still above its previous bear market bottom. Thank you for understanding, man. So I don't know. I haven't even, Injective just isn't really generating much of my space in my mind because like the bull run for Injective was so long ago. It was January of 2024, you know, and it's just been down since then. And I would personally wait for a long, boring period of accumulation before even touching this. Thoughts on Coinbase stock? I've never owned Coinbase stock. I've never really been interested in owning it. Man, what's the correlation here? It looks like it's more correlated with Total 2 than anything else. All right, it has hit its 200-week moving average. This might be a decent one to load up on, to DCA into. Small DCAs right now. Yeah. I mean, it's just like my perspective on the total two. Total two hit the 200 week moving average last week. So thank you, Bull Run, for the follow. What are we buying now? I would only buy OGs and blue chips, in Bitcoin. We still have. There's so many cryptos that I think are just not going to come back. And the only ones that for utility, for meme coins, I think a lot of meme coins have a potential to come back. But for a lot of those utility cryptos that were, especially the newer, the newer the worse. I'd be okay buying some utility cryptos, even if I think that they're dead. At some point, I'd be interested in buying like a Polkadot. I think Polkadot's dead. But just knowing how all this works, I've been eyeing 50-cent Polkadot. It's at $1.27 right now. You want to give me some 50-cent Polkadot? I'll buy that, and then I'll hold it until it gets back up to its previous bear market bottom, which is at like $4 or something like that. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Let's see. Sol going down to $20 range. Yeah. NPC. Are you talking about the meme coin? Just don't touch meme coins. Here's what's going to happen. Meme coins are going to be super, super flat for a very long time. And then right before things get really hot, they're going to start pumping. So unless it's a new meme coin, obviously, new memes will do whatever. AO's another one that I wouldn't touch. I am interested in AO's at some point. It's still way higher than its bear market bottom, even now at 7 cents. It got down below a penny last bear market. So it's still over a 7x. I wouldn't touch it. Thoughts on war. I already mentioned my thoughts on war. Will the next alt season be the same as 2021? I have no idea. User 171. Thoughts on quant. I've always, I wouldn't say I've had a love-hate relationship with quant. I just don't believe that it's really, like in 2021, everyone was saying quant was going to change the world, and I was really skeptical of that. And I don't really think there's anything fundamentally, it hasn't proven itself to me as like this is something worth worth lumping up there with just like the true blue chips. But the chart on a long enough time horizon, it looks a lot better than a lot of other cryptos. So there's some hope with quant. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, quant's been in accumulation, deep accumulation for 4 years now. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point it broke out of that accumulation and went really hard. So the only coin that's going to be very valuable overnight in seconds is XRP. XRP rips really hard at some point. Will ADA survive? ADA will survive in some way. I don't know if it's ever going to go beyond $3, but it'll survive. Thoughts on Fat Cat chart? I'm not going to look at it, but listen, I'm going to be loading up a lot on Fat Cat. AVAX, ADA, thoughts? Yeah, thoughts on meme coins? I think I answered that before I saw your question. Crypto Garage, thanks for the follow. Hello, Fook. AVAX activities is surging. Exactly. Listen, I want to buy cryptos that people are using. And there is some use of Avalanche. I mean, that's the thing, guys. I mean, buy the OGs and buy the ones that people are using. People are using Solana, they're using Ethereum, they're using Tron, Bitcoin Cash. People in third world countries are transacting in Bitcoin Cash. Avalanche, I hate to say this, the Pump.Fun token, BNB, Crypto.com at some point, the ones, Bitcoin obviously, those are the ones you should be buying. Not the, there's so much vaporware. and meme coins. I mean, but meme coins because we know what they are. So let's see. What is a small DCA? I don't know, man. A few $100. It depends on your wallet size. Buy HEEHEE. The MJ movie comes out in April. It'll be interesting to see if there is a pop from that. I wouldn't be surprised. What's your low for ETH this year? We might have already hit it. I want you to hear that from me. We might have actually hit the bottom for Ethereum. Because, and again, watch my most recent video, the one where I show you the total 2 altcoin chart. This looks very similar structurally to June of 2022 when Ethereum went under $1,000. It looks very, very similar to that. Now, Bitcoin put in its bottom in November. So I think Bitcoin's going lower. But Bitcoin put in its bottom in November. I've been saying we're ahead of schedule. So February of 2026 might be the equivalent of June of 2022. And if that's the case, Ethereum has bottomed, and I called for it to bottom between $1,700 and $1,800. If I sold everything to pay off some debt, do you think I have time to get back in before uptrend? You have a lot of time, Anthony. Yeah, a lot of time. So I do think, yes, okay, I think Ethereum might have actually bottomed, but I think there's going to be plenty of time between now and when things start rising again, several months. All right, Kenko is asking about AKT, Akash. This is a floorless crypto. I mean, sort of. It is still below its 2022, 2023 price, but I think it's going to go much lower. There's no hope for this in the near term. Maybe one day. I mean, it is a render like crypto. It's that niche, and I do have some hope for that, but not right now. Thoughts on Aave? People use Aave. I like Aave as an eventual buy. Aave has been going straight down, getting rejected at the 20-week EMA, and occasionally getting rejected at the 50-week EMA. I mean, at some point, again, with these cryptos, I'd want to wait for a chop before touching these. I bought Filecoin at $3. Is that okay? It's never okay to buy Filecoin. Filecoin is the worst offender out of top 100 cryptos when it comes to how terrible their tokenomics are. Do I think you'll get back to $3? That Filecoin will get back to $3? I think so. But, I'd be selling all of it at $3. I'd be selling all of it at break even and putting it into something else. What's your thought on Hut 8 or iRes? So I'm assuming you mean something else, and I'm blanking on what you would mean. IREN. I like them. So you got to treat these as more long-term holds, though. The IREN chart might be distributing right now, unfortunately. But after Bitcoin bottoms, I think these things are going to shoot off like crazy. I'm only buying Sui, Render, Ondo, Arrow, Sol, too, if it touches $50. I'm sorry. Thoughts on COAI? Chart looks pretty dead to me. Yeah, I nothing. I have no thoughts. This looks flat, just straight up dead. Didn't they say that Quant connects all the ISO 20022 tokens together? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yep. Interoperability. That's a fancy buzzword, and we'll see. Should I buy or sell my investments? At this point, you should not sell if you haven't sold any yet. Hyperliquid hype. It's so hype had a nice run, but got rejected at the 200-day moving average. I think hype right now, I see clear distribution on the hyperliquid chart. I think right now it's just going to be in a period of accumulation for a while. But I think this is a no-brainer for a crypto that you should have on your radar to buy. What's your favorite meme coin other than XRP? Sorry, that was lame. I'm only spot buying Bitcoin and ETH, but not yet. All right, I mean, ETH might have bottomed. Filecoin for long-time investing? Absolutely not. What's your thoughts on the pump fund court case? I just heard about it. I didn't know. This is the first time hearing about it. So, Afternoon Crowman. ETH still above its midline. Cool. How do you find the alts that people are using? Probably the best place for that I could recommend, not financial advice. Well, this is not, whatever. Get rid. I'm so used to saying NFA. DeFiLlama.com. And what I look at on DeFiLlama.com is I look to see the TVL, total value locked into its ecosystem. Are people utilizing the ecosystem? And then two, I look to see at revenues earned and transactions on chain. That's all on DeFi, all available on DeFiLlama.com. And you'd be shocked to know that there's like 10 blockchains that are actually being used right now. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit. There's other ones, but it's so minimal. If only the Premier League had stock, Liverpool versus Man City had 750 million views. It had 750 million views? Are you serious? That's shocking to me. I have a hard time believing that, but I mean, I believe you. I want some source, you know? What size do you use for meme coins? Is FOMO any good? I just use Deck Screener. TRX, please. Tron's a really good one. Tron, people use Tron. Tron is number 2 in revenues generated and number 2 in TVL, total value locked, behind Ethereum for both. So they have really fascinating things that they can do with their tokenomics. Tron has the best tokenomics out of any crypto. Sui or say Sui, Mike, stop. I didn't realize someone was spamming. You're killing me, man. Where was I? Now I'm like, okay, here we go. Am I too early to purchase a big bag of Sui? I think it's a little too early. Okay. Wow, 750 million viewers from Man City against Liverpool. Well, good. They saw City win. Thumbs up. Which one good you said? I don't even remember. Hyperliquid. Render is a good buy. Render's a good buy at some point. VeChain, thoughts on VeChain? VeChain's a good buy. I don't, the floor is it can't go all that much lower for VeChain, but you got to be patient with it. Monero's going to be hot. I mean, my problem with Monero is it already had its big run. And that was after breaking out of multiple years of accumulation. Now I'd rather just wait for it to get really boring again, and then yes, I'll be buying some Monero. Did Esther sell her Litecoin? DJ Tommy G, you are an OG. She did not. No, she's been holding on. All my kids. So I bought in 2021. I bought some Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin for my kids. The Bitcoin is up. The Ethereum is not, and the Litecoin is not. They're down a decent amount, unfortunately. So, thoughts on XDC? I would assume it's just another one that you need to stay away from for a while. Yep. I would just wait for some boring chop instead of downward action. XCN's weird. Onyx coin. I'm going to just have to pass on XCN. It might be. Now, one thing that's encouraging is it might actually be in accumulation. Man, not that I'm going to buy this, but looking at the chart, I'm actually kind of intrigued in looking at where I think we might be in terms of like the total altcoin market cap might have actually hit its psychological bottom like last week. So XCN would be a good one to buy. I'm talking myself into it. If Russell and QQQ have blow off tops and miners might do well this year instead of multi-year play, you might be right about that, Will. The market seems flat to weak and waiting to get back after my shorts, which I closed last Monday. We want flat and weak. We want boring. Right now, it's been down, you know. So can we be done going down and now be flat? Tron, yeah, Tron, yeah. Alex, what happened to Vet? I felt it was a good project. It's still a good project, but yeah, it's below its 2022 bear market bottom. I'll be buying. I have some Vet still. I'll be buying some more. Monero or World Liberty Finance? Monero. VeChain. Bitcoin bottoms in May, not October. Did I say May? Yeah, I don't think Bitcoin's bottoming in October. It's clear to me that we're ahead of schedule. And we have big money that has entered the space, and I think a reason for the acceleration of this drop, the fact that we're already really close to the 200-week moving average, which we didn't touch until June of 2022. That signals to me that like the smart money, we have a lot more smart money in this, and they know the game. They're just gonna wait. They're gonna wait till the 200-week moving average, and we're probably gonna get there soon. You know, March or so. Maybe in May. How do you export your BitUnix transactions for taxes? I don't have an answer for you, Cody. I'm sorry, but that's been an issue that I need to plead the fifth as to how I've handled that. I will say I have been as honest as I have tried to be as honest as possible, even though taxation is theft. Angel, what do you think happens this year? I think we bottom out. I think there's actually a good possibility that the altcoin market cap has bottomed out. Maybe there'll be a double bottom or something. And I think Bitcoin bottoms out in not in October, but in a few months. So then, you know, what I think is going to happen is everyone's going to be waiting for the fourth quarter to buy, and by the time we get to the fourth quarter, they're going to realize that they waited too long. Pump fund class action lawsuit filed. All right, I mean, don't those things take a while? We'll see. Go City, let's go. Thoughts on Pendle? Pendle, I love Pendle, but again, Pendle, their bear market bottom was 4 cents. So now it's at $1.13. Pendle can go a lot lower. I've been saying that for weeks. And actually, I'm surprised to see it at $1.13. I didn't think it was that low, but here we are, and I'm licking my lips, figuratively. Because I can't wait. I can't wait to accumulate lots and lots of Pendle. Thoughts on, all right, XDC. I already looked at XDC. Falling knife, don't touch it yet, eventually. Good entry for Pendle. Pendle can go much lower, sorry. Thoughts on Arrow, and then I'll look at Uniswap in a second, Shafi. But Arrow, I'm not risking it. Arrow could be at a good place to buy, but that's not based off of much action historically. If Arrow loses its current floor, it's going down under 10 cents. It's at 31 cents right now. But this might be it. It's just too soon to tell. You're very patient. I'm scared the discounts are going to go away soon. No, they're not. It's not that I'm patient. It's just I just that's how bear markets work. What usually comes next after moments of just intense dumps is the retail gets shaken out through just the extreme boredom of a crab market for a while at least, you know. Let me look at Uniswap. Oh man, what's a good entry for Uniswap? It it's just straight down. I don't have one. I sometimes the best play is to just sit on the sidelines. When I look at Uniswap, I wouldn't want to enter it. I'd want to enter a short, but I'd wait for it to pump a little bit and then I'd short it. I like Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Cash. I like Bitcoin Cash a lot. Ethereum Classic, we'll see. I mean, Ethereum Classic at some point is going to be a phenomenal buy, but like, you know, that's another one. It's lost support. Maybe, you know, now it's heading back down to what? It's 2020 bear market bottom. That's at $3.26. It's at $8.40 right now. I'd be shocked if it lost that. Browns to the Super Bowl? Not yet. Thoughts on Loopring? No, Loopring. I mean, it is a very old crypto, but there's no floor in sight for Loopring right now. It's the same thing. A lot of these cryptos you're asking, it's the same thing. Well, no, I mean, Loopring, now that I'm looking at the chart, there might be a floor. No. Oh, shoot. All right, so Loopring is pretty much, I mean, it's on its way back down to its 2020 bear market bottom. So maybe there's a good deal. Guys, watch my video. Watch the video I just made. This is eventually going to be an incredible opportunity to make gains because of just the absolute despair that people are facing. So ADA, already talked about ADA. I'll be interested in it under 20 cents. Have you done Solana already? Solana, I think, still is very vulnerable. It can go a decent amount lower. Do I think Solana can hit $300? Yes, I think it will. Near, please. I feel like a broken record when I say this, but it's the same thing with almost every crypto. There's no floor in sight. Wait for a chop. That's my answer on Near. Do you think there's hope for Griffane? I don't know enough about it. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I've looked at this chart plenty of times. You know, it's going lower and lower. It just continues to go lower. I don't know. Link's a safe buy, but you know, I was hoping 952 would be a bottom for Chainlink. I look at this chart. To me, it looks like it's destined for $5.28, or sorry, $5.52, and then it's going to chop there for a while. So that's where I'd be interested in buying Chainlink. Thank you, Marco. WorldCoin. Man, it's only been 38 minutes. I've only been live for 38 minutes. That's unfortunate. No floor in sight. Because I feel just like I'm saying the same thing over and over again for all these different cryptos you're asking. So let me, I'm not going to answer individual crypto questions for the next 10 minutes. I need a break. But here's my general answer to your question. If you asked about a specific crypto, the only cryptos that I'm interested in buying right now are the large caps and the ones that people use. But I'm talking about Ethereum. I'm talking about maybe BNB. I mean, what else? Maybe a little bit of Solana, despite the fact that I think it's vulnerable and it can go lower. XRP might have actually bottomed as well, so I'm definitely interested in buying some XRP. But a lot of these cryptos you're asking about, we need to establish some kind of a floor before personally I'd even be a little bit interested in buying these cryptos. So, you know, ICP, WorldCoin. Tax avoidance is not illegal. Okay, DJ. Yeah, I mean, it's not as much avoidance as it's like it's impossible. it's impossible for me to do what the government requests when it comes to like itemizing every transaction. There's no way. But I do have a good feel for how much I've made or lost, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Monero's good for tax. Yeah. Yeah. Alex, do you follow Ben Cohen? Yes, he thinks fourth quarter buy. I understand. Yes. Here's a personal thought on Ben Cohen. In 2021, he postured himself as the guy who his big thing was extended cycles with diminishing returns. And so he was thoroughly convinced that Bitcoin was not going to peak in the fourth quarter of 2021, but that it was going to be an extended cycle, and then Bitcoin would peak later on, maybe 2022 or 2023. And he got proven wrong by that. And so now the fact that he thinks that it's a fourth quarter buy, that everything's going to bottom in the fourth quarter, it communicates to me that a little bit that he's trying to save face from his mistake in 2021. So I would take that particular view with a grain of salt. So yeah, ADA, LCX. LCX actually looks decent. Thinking about swapping my ICP back for pump while their market caps are close. I have no thoughts on that. I'm sorry. Neil deGrasse. I've heard that before. Thoughts on Canton? The same thing I've said. Yeah, Cardano. Everyone still have the same conviction for Sui on a long enough timeline. Brother, Arrow isn't Arrow being used for the entire base ecosystem. Thought that'd be a winner for you. I will buy a lot of Arrow at some point. I'm too nervous buying it now, given just a chart. Let's see. Iron or Riot, if you had to choose. Riot. Yep. Ondo, same deal of what I've been saying. FET, same deal. No Rulers and Milanov, thanks for the follows. Tau still looking good long term. Tau, I like Tau as a long term. I mean, not as a right now. Yeah, I mean, at today's price as more of a long term play. It's another one. It reminds me a lot of Arrow's chart in some regards, and the fact that like if it loses the floor that it's at right now, it's gonna go down pretty hard still. So. Adam, ADA, XRP, Adam and ADA, same deal, guys. XRP, like I said, XRP might have actually bottomed. I'm basing that off of some fractals. The blockchain backer has posted this fractal that I find to be a compelling argument that what we saw last week, XRP got down to 110. That might actually be it. But I'm not buying XRP at $1.42. I had a limit order for XRP at $1.01. It went down to 110. It just hurts, man. You know? But maybe XRP under $1.30. We have a lot of time to accumulate XRP. So I wouldn't rush with it. Does Ondo have a floor? No. AVAX was looking bullish a few months ago. Yeah, I bought a little bit of AVAX, like a couple $100, but then I sold it. I mean, a couple months ago, I don't know. Isn't ICP a weird one to predict because it spiked to 750 in November 2025? Any crypto can do that at any point. I like ICP as a play at some point, but right now, no. And it actually spiked to $9.80. AVAX and Crow loading up on, okay. Bitcoin Cash is used actively every day. That's why I like Bitcoin Cash. People are actually using it. I mean, let's be real here. Bitcoin Cash, I'm always going to like Bitcoin more than Bitcoin Cash, but there's people who say that Bitcoin Cash is real Bitcoin, and it is. I'll grant a concession. Bitcoin Cash is what Bitcoin was designed to be. There is very little peer-to-peer transacting going on with Bitcoin, but there is a lot more of that happening with Bitcoin Cash, especially in third world countries. NASDAQ looks weak. Yeah, I already addressed that. How you any thoughts on AI stocks for this year? You think they'll continue up? I think so. I've given thoughts, especially on my YouTube channel, World War Bitcoin. Head over there, hit the subscribe button. And I'm basing this off of much more broader economic perspectives. So last year, Taiwan exports shot off dramatically. It was like 60% growth year over year. And if you're confused as to why I'm even saying that, Taiwan exports, that's where you get all of the infrastructure needed for building AI components, building these data centers, So the fact that Taiwan exports were so high, that means that all of 2025 was the building of the infrastructure. And for the next few years, we should see, in my opinion, AI continue to climb. I know, like, you could easily call bubble on that. And maybe this is the peak of the bubble, but like, we can get a lot more irrational with AI. Road 1990, thanks for the follow, or thanks for sharing the live, excuse me, and reposting. Would SHIB and Doge ever come back? Yes, but what do you mean by back? Shiba Inu, I don't think is ever going to hit a new all-time high. I think Doge will, but when? Maybe 2027 or something. All right, Yearn Finance. This is one that I haven't looked at in a long time, and yeah, I mean, Yearn accumulated for 3.5 years, and then finally just recently lost its floor. Where does it go from here? Another one that I just, at some point, maybe I'd be interested. Not right now. What will Bitcoin bottom be for 2026? In the 50s, in my opinion. Is it possible to create my own meme coin without any experience? Yes. Would I recommend it? No. ATP for long term. What's ATP? I don't know what this is. Aptos? Do you mean Aptos? Because if so, I'd wait. Another one. Man, this is depressing looking at these charts of cryptos that I'm not interested in buying. So many of them just look like disasters. At one point, at some point, there'll be some money to be made on a dead cat bounce. That day is not today. Kiwi Power, thanks for the follow. All things Florida as well, thank you. Between Tau and Render, is one safer than the other? I think a lot of people would say Tau. I guess my answer would be Render, in the sense that, like, Render is one that people actually use. I don't know enough about Tau's use case to give an answer to that. Problem with Bitcoin ETH right now is ETFs and leverage, 4 Bitcoin to 1 actual Bitcoin ETH. Sure. Yeah, no comment. How's your investments going with QQQI? Almost to your goal. Oh, I've stopped DCAing for now. Don't be suspicious. But I'd plan on never selling that, and I'm not anywhere near my goal. No. Tau still king of AI. I think Tau has a lot of work to do to even be considered king of AI. I hope I've never said that. Thank you, Jambo. When's a good time to buy Doge? It's at 9 cents. No floor inside. No, let me tell you. Actually, let me give you a very confident answer when to buy Doge. And that answer is, like, it's just not anytime soon. Because Dogecoin just goes flat in the bear market, and it stays flat for a long time. And then when excitement gets into the market, Dogecoin will rip really hard. So for example, you know, Dogecoin in on February 22nd of 2024 was around 8 cents. And then a month later, it was at 24 cents. You know, it did a 3x in that little bit of time. And then, you know, the other exciting time for Dogecoin would have been 2020, the end of 2024. Dogecoin was at like 14 cents at the end of October in 2024. It got up to 48 cents in December, 6 weeks. So that's how you play Dogecoin and Shiba Inu and all that stuff. You just wait. You wait for that moment right before things get really hot, usually around the time that Bitcoin crosses its previous all-time high. Because you think about that, you know, when did Bitcoin cross its previous all-time high in 2024? It happened in late February, early March of 2024. I don't remember the exact date. And then it happened again in November of 2024. And that's when Dogecoin ripped really hard. So that's the play with Doge. I need to remember that. All right, that's the 51-minute mark. I might clip that and post that into a video because I think that's the answer. Let's see. Do you use a hardware wallet? I know this is going to be really controversial. I do not. What happened to ADA going to $4? I threw in the towel on my predictions in August of 2024. I could see potentially ADA getting to $4 the next time we experience some kind of euphoria. Let's see. Tectonic, oh yeah, TET, right? No, that's Tectum. I don't know what Tectonic is. I'm going to have to pass. I don't know what that is. Oh, Crypto Chad. Oh, wait a second. I think you're actually being real. I 100% agree with your take on render over Tau. Yeah, that is an unpopular opinion. Do I think Dogecoin will go lower? Yeah. Mr. Cuz is in the house. Hello, Mr. Cuz. Of course. Well, no, you haven't been around. So you've been warning everyone. You've been regurgitating random crap that you've heard on the internet. And you come in here thinking that I am your polar opposite, and I'm not. It's just that you're a pain. Doge at 2 cents sounds good to me. I would love to buy Doge at 2 cents. If I was running this live, I'd pull out what little hair I have. Some of these questions. And Mr. Cuz is here now, so please, brother, what to buy now? 5 crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Onyx Coin. The Onyx Coin chart looked pretty good, and I don't know. Chainlink, how about that? Diamond Hands Dave, thanks for the follow. Haven't seen you live in a while, man. You look tired. I always look tired, man. I have a bunch of kids. I wake up really early in the morning. I work a lot. I'm bored. I'm tired of, you know, I'm at the point in the live stream where I'm tired. Oh, man. Do you still like AVAX? Eventually. Kronos is just, it's just an accumulation. It hasn't lost the floor yet. So... Sure. Based on revenue earnings, I'm guessing you like Ether. I haven't looked into their revenue, but it's on my radar now. I mean, the thing that I would question though is what are their tokenomics like? Because I'm looking at the chart. The chart's a disaster, which makes me think their tokenomics are pretty bad. But eventually, I will like Ether if they make money. Guess the top was not you live having 1K viewers. It was. But if you're talking about the top in 2026 or 2025, excuse me, yeah, we definitely didn't hit 1,000 viewers, but like, you know, that would be a reason for me to believe that, I mean, the real top was in 2024. So, all right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm tired. Somebody said I looked tired. Um, I am tired. If you had to choose between Mr. Cousin Foregone, Foregone in a heartbeat. Foregone, easy. Mr. Cuz is just like he's a perma bear. He's been trolling this live stream for 2 years, talking about how down we're going, and then finally when things go down, he comes out of his cave and is like, "See, I told you so." All right, Mr. Cuz. All right. That's the worst kind of bear. It's the worst. Because eventually they'll feel like they're right. But thank you guys. Touch grass, my guy. Yeah, sure. All right, see you later on YouTube.